Conference tournaments for basketball, state tourney action for swimming, wrestling, and gymnastics. Varsity 360 is too hot. Don't believe me? Just watch. Hello there, everyone, and welcome to Varsity 360, our weekly look at the top stories in Fredericksburg area high school sports. This is our February 23rd, 2015 installment. Mark Coleman here from the Virginia Varsity Sports Network. Very happy you've joined us, and happy to be joined by the good folks from the FLS varsity team. This week we have sports reporter Nathan Warters. Nathan, good to see you, man. It's been a busy week.
It has. I wish it wasn't so cold in this studio. The V360 studio, man, it's chilly, but
well, we've got all these bright lights shining on us. It'll warm up eventually.
Yeah, but we have a busy week. A lot of playoff stuff going on. A lot of winter sports. It's cold because of the winter sports. Yeah,
cold because of the winter sports. Yeah, this snow has wreaked havoc on some of the scheduling too. But we'll get into that here in just a minute.
Yeah.
Packed show for you though. Glad to have Nathan here with us. Time now for the Varsity 360 boys basketball top 5. We will start at number 5. It is Portland. Portland 15-9. They have finished their conference play, and by way of a loss in the championship game to our number 4 team, Chancellor. The Chancellor Chargers are now 16-6 on the season, following a 51-47 victory over Portland in the Conference 22 championship. Nice game from E.J. Jenkins in this, Nathan.
Yeah, only a sophomore. Didn't play for him last year when they won the title. This is Chancellor's second straight Conference 22 championship, and they relied on some new guys, and Jenkins was one of them. Jason Brown, their point guard, he had 9 points and dished out a ton of assists there. So the young guys stepping up for Chancellor. Cortland was, they're a really good basketball team. Jabari Allen, Daryl Gerald, those guys are really good. They're a good basketball team. They're just gonna have to go on the road now to advance in the region. And Chancellor's going to get to host a first-round region game.
Yeah, how about that? So Chancellor gets their second consecutive Conference 22 championship, but they had to do it sort of as an underdog. They were, I believe, it was the number 3 seed this time. Had a big upset earlier in the week against Eastern View, and then the big victory over Portland.
Yeah, I'm right. I wrote something this week for one of our notepads about. I look back at the teams that have played 3 games.
Right.
There's been 10 teams that were faced with the possibility of getting swept, and only one of those teams ended up avoiding it, and it was Cortland. They did it twice in a 4-day span.
Wow.
They had lost to Eastern View twice in the regular season and avenged those losses by beating Eastern View on the road. And they lost to Cortland twice in the regular season. They went on the road and beat Cortland in the championship game. So very resilient bunch, Chancellor. A very young team too, so very impressive feat for them.
At number 3 in the Varsity 360 top 5, it is James Monroe. The Yellow Jackets are 15-7 on the season. They actually have a big game on Tuesday night against our number 2 team, Culpeper. Culpeper 19-2 on the year. Conference 27 championship matchup. This is going to be at Culpeper. This should be a game where we see a lot of getting up and down the court, I suspect. Yeah,
very athletic teams. They split the regular season series. I'm kind of interested. I'd really like to see that game, see what happens in that, because it's 2 teams that, like you said, they're just fast-paced, and James Monroe's a little bit more defensive-oriented. Culpeper likes to put points up in droves.
Right.
It's kind of a nice, interesting matchup there.
Yeah, it should be an interesting game. Certainly big implications for the Conference 27 championship, obviously, but both teams have secured a berth in the regional championship. So both teams will go on, and there's a good chance that they will play each other for a 4th time this year. So we will see. And still holding down the fort at number 1 in the Varsity 360 boys basketball top 5, it is Colonial Forge. The Eagles are now 20-2 on the year. They had a 74-31 victory over Stafford in the Conference 4 quarterfinals. And this team has things lined up pretty nicely. It seems like they're getting some kids some playing time that haven't gotten as much action of late.
Yeah, Clarence Miles with 15 points. Not a name you hear a lot out of Colonial Forge. When you win by 40 points, that'll do it for you. You get a guy like that, some important minutes. A lot of kids played in this game. I looked at the box score, and it was just a long list. Forge seems to have regrouped nicely after that late season loss to Hilton, and I think they're pretty much set for another rendezvous with the Bulldogs coming up.
It looks to be on a collision course, but again, two teams, the top two teams from the conference will make the regions, and that's really the objective here is to win in advance, right? So Forge certainly looking like they're well positioned for that. Colonial Forge #1.
So important for them though to get one of those top seeds, because we're talking about a region that has Lansdowne. We're talking about a region that also has Hilton. There's some teams in there that they don't want to face on the road, and they don't want to have, that was one of the things that Jason John talked about, the head coach there talked about last year, is that it's all about where you kind of fit in there seeding-wise, and then hope the chips kind of fall in your advantage. It worked last year for them in their state championship season. We'll see how it works out for them this year.
No doubt, there's a very challenging task, probably a number of tasks ahead of them if they want to try to repeat this season. Looking now at the Varsity 360 top 5 for girls basketball, coming in at number 5, it is Mountain View. The Wildcats now 18-4 on the season. A Conference 15 semifinal victory over Massaponax, 47-42. Though this, it seems like View has been playing some close games here of late.
Yeah, I think they're, when you play defense the way they do, and you're locking opponents down. And Massaponax is a good opponent, good record. They score a lot, so. It's just kind of indicative of the kind of style they play, this defensive-oriented team.
Good point. I sort of compare that, maybe not a fair comparison, but comparing it to the UVA men's basketball team. They number 2 in the country right now, but they're not blowing people out. They're winning games, and all you have to do is win. You don't get bonus points for margins of victory. Right?
No, and I mean basketball is one of those sports where it's all dictated by style. I mean, you got. In college basketball, you got North Carolina who's going to run the court and fast break you to death, and you got teams that really buckle down defensively. And this area, high school basketball, defense reigns supreme. I mean, the teams that are really good, they come up with a scheme, whether it's a full court press or a special zone or something. Once you get that style and that philosophy, you kind of see the fruits of your labor. And 18-4 right now, playing Potomac in the championship there in Conference 15, I think they're seeing the fruits of their labor.
Certainly. Mountain View now number 5. Gene Robinson with a nice 18 points for them in that victory over Massaponax. Coming in at number 4 in the girls basketball Varsity 360 top 5, it is Chancellor. The Chargers now 19-5 on the season, and they are Conference 22 champions by way of a 48-37 victory over Liberty. The boys and girls both winning their conference championships. This team certainly seems to be stacked as well.
Yeah, and I think they're getting some contributions from players that they hadn't gotten contributions from all year. I think Sydney Collins, their freshman forward, she's really starting to come into her own. In the semifinal that I covered against King George, she was the star there. I think she had a double-double in that game. She had 12 points, 10 rebounds in the championship game against Liberty. Their coach was kind of funny. He came up to me afterwards and said, I'm in the locker room, I'm telling the girls, we're not a 2-person team. It's not just Jayla Harris and Sydney Jackson. They've got some really good players contributing, and I think they're really happy to see that other girls are stepping up and playing well.
Congratulations to the Chargers, who will move on to their region championship. Number 3 in the girls Varsity 360 basketball top 5, it is James Monroe. JM now 17-2 on the season. They have a Conference 27 championship coming up against Culpeper. Actually tonight, Tuesday night. That should be another interesting game. JM and Culpeper playing for the championships for both the boys and the girls. This team, I think, is now on an 11 or 12 game winning streak.
Yeah, I think I saw the last time they lost. That was kind of crazy. I think it was like early January. It's crazy to see how that's another team that's young, and they've really come together. A lot of the young players have come in and gelled with the veteran players, and they're playing really well right now.
Coming in at number 2 in the Varsity 360 top 5, another team that is on quite a roll, it is Colonial Forge. Forge now 16-5 on the season, winning these games by large margins, a 63-38 victory over Garfield in their Conference 4 semis. This team has really been rolling.
Yeah, and it just seems like they made a coaching change. It seems like once that change was made, it really kind of galvanized them almost. I mean, you hate to say that, but new coach, new attitude, and it seems like they're really buying into it.
Seems to be working. Nia Washington with 29 points in the victory over Garfield. She now has 1,000 career points. Only a junior.
Yeah, you see the seniors getting those 1,000. You don't often see the juniors getting 1,000.
Yeah.
She's been, just so incredible since she was a freshman. She's run that offense so well at the point guard position, and she does so many things well, and it's a great achievement for a junior.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations to her. And number one in the Varsity 360 girls basketball top 5, it is Colonial Beach. The Drifters are 18-3 on the season. They've actually been off for a bit, and they're going to have to wait just a little bit longer. Their top seed means that they've got a bye in their conference championships. They're not going to play until Wednesday, I believe it is.
Yeah, I wonder how that affects them, because you've gone so long, and then the tournament starts, and you're sitting there, watching scores. I'm kind of curious how they come out on Wednesday in that game. They're such a good team, and they've been so good against conference competition. I don't think it'll affect them.
So active, and conference competition as well as larger schools. Yeah. They've played an extraordinarily difficult, challenging schedule at least. They didn't have much difficulty with it, however. It's 18-3 on the season, and number one in the Varsity 360 girls basketball top 5. Let's take a look now at wrestling, the state tournament action, and joining us we have Freelance Star assistant sports editor Justin Rice, and also resident wrestling expert. Welcome, Mr. Rice.
How's it going?
I'm doing well. Good to see you.
Back from some wrestling.
You catch your breath yet?
It was a whirlwind day on Friday.
I bet.
It was pretty extreme, yeah. Extreme journalism. Yeah.
Extreme journalism. The X Games in a different manner. You made it back before the snowstorm hit and the ice and all of the other nonsense.
Indeed. It was a furious day from 3 o'clock to 12:30, close to 1 in Salem, obviously, for the 4A and the 2A and 3A and 1A, and up at Robinson, where I was, for the 5A and the 6A.
Okay, well, let's jump right into the 5A. We had a couple of kids from the area that won state championships. At the 145, it was Trevor Watkins from Mountain View, and at the 170, Thomas Parsons from Massaponax.
And Thomas Parsons wrestled Brook Point's Shane Ice in the final, and beat him for the 3rd time this year, and goes and collects his first state title. For 2 years in, he's had a great showing in his first 2 seasons. And Trevor Watkins from Mountain View gets his first state title. I know that's been his goal for a long time now, so he picks that up. And then Junior Beltran, of course, from Mountain View, loses in a really good match in the championship, loses out on a bid on a 2nd title.
Mountain View didn't place as well as they were hoping to at the team level. Some controversy, perhaps. There was some last day or so changes in the format of this tournament.
Yeah, I think Mountain View was certainly a team that was hurt by the change. Of course, at the very, very last moment, the tournament was eliminated, knocked down to a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, so there were no place winners for the bottom consolation rounds. They didn't wrestle those out. And for a team like Mountain View that was sort of a compiler with not a bunch of state champions, but a lot of kids who could do well, you came in, you lost that first match, you were done, you could not wrestle back and maybe get, somebody who loses in that first round at the state tournament every year, wrestles back and gets 2nd place, 3rd place, and none of those kids Friday night had that chance.
Yeah.
Definitely hurt Mountain View in the point standings. Matoka was still very good, probably a deserving champion.
Okay. Meanwhile, in the 4A state championships, 2 additional winners from the area, DJ Ahalt from Portland at 106 and Brian Ramey from Eastern View at 132. This Ramey kid looks like he's pretty good. We've said his name a few times here, Nathan.
Yeah, three state titles. That's an impressive feat there. And Ahalt for Cortland, that's an accomplishment for that program. It's only the 4th individual title they've had, and it's the 1st since 2008. So quite an accomplishment for him. Two guys really did well in the state tournament there.
Good nugget there. The wrestling 6A state championship was the Colonial Forge show. Forge winning their 5th state team title, their 1st since 2012. And they had 3 champions at the individual level as well.
Yeah, absolutely just dominated this tournament. You see the guys who won the state titles, of course, Josh Nail and Jet Stone. JD Stone gets his 1st title, and Patrick Grayson gets his 2nd title at 220. But they wrestled so well. I mean, up and down the weight classes. Mark Garofalo, Anthony Carter, all those guys. The freshman Levi Engelman at 106 made the state final and lost to a senior champion. You really like Levi coming back next year. The Colonial Forge just dominated this tournament. They had a mix of older kids, younger kids. They're going to be very good again next year. This was the Colonial Forge show from the very first round. Yeah.
They're going to be very good again next year, as if that was some breaking news here, right? I mean, it's been a long time since this team has not been very good.
14 straight regional titles this year and district titles. Their 5th team title, first since 2012, broke Robinson's little run there and dominated this one, and they look really strong again next year.
Real impressed by this Grayson kid. So he's going to be going to Nebraska?
Yeah, Nebraska, and just a big athlete. And I know when he won, it was about 12:30 at night, and he won his state title at 220 and stood in the middle and did a standing backflip. He jumped up and sprung all the way around.
Wow.
And yeah, that's just kind of athlete he is, and he's very big, wrestles 220 obviously, and just very, very impressive.
I'm sure the Nebraska coaches would love to hear that he's doing backflips after winning. But.
Swimming state championship meets were held this past weekend, and we will start in the 5A, where Caroline Wanner from Brook Point, a senior, won 2 individual championships on the girls' side, the 200 individual medley and the 500 freestyle. 2 swimming championships. These are now 4 individual titles, state titles that Caroline has. Awfully impressive performance.
Yeah, I mean, she was so good as a sophomore. She was our all-area swimmer of the year. She hadn't won any state championships. Last year, she wins 2. She wins 2 this year. She's just an incredible swimmer. Going to Marshall next year, and I think you had some information about how she would kind of stack up against Marshall's swimmers. I mean, she's even got times that are
her best times would put her in the top 5 for many of the events. I think it was the 400 IM. She would actually hold the Marshall school record already. Just from her high school career. So awfully impressive performance. In fact, due to that performance, winning 2 individual state championships at the 5A state swimming championship level, Caroline Wanner from Brook Point, a swimmer and a senior, is our Varsity 360 Athlete of the Week. Congratulations to Caroline on that accomplishment, and congratulations on the 2 state championships. Awfully impressive meet there. The North Stafford boys 200 freestyle relay team also won a first place. Jonathan Fralin, Noah Prestige, Brandon Hamblin, and Ryan Schmitz, part of that foursome that brought home the gold medal there for North Stafford at the 5A state championship level. The 4A state championships for swimming had a 2-time winner as well, Annie Boone from Eastern View, winning the 100 backstroke and the 200 IM. Annie Boone, another name that we've heard from area swimmers of the year.
Yeah, she was our swimmer there last year, was a state title winner last year. And then her teammate Owen Van Krempen from Eastern View, he was a state champion this year in the 500 freestyle. He was also a champion last year, an all-area swimmer. So consistency reigns this year. We got a lot of swimmers who have done things consistently over their careers, and these are 2 upperclassmen that have done the same.
Yeah. Van Krempen with the victory in the 500 free for that championship. And also Danny Partial from Louisa winning the 1-meter diving competition. So congratulations to Danny Partial from Louisa.
That's pretty cool too, because we don't have a lot of the diving.
Not a lot of diving.
For somebody in the area to do well there, you just don't see enough of it. So that's a great accomplishment, and a cool thing for him.
Yeah, kind of neat. It's kind of. Do you do much diving yourself? I mean, I'm not much of a swimmer, but I always like to try to do swan dives and things like that.
I chipped a tooth as a little kid diving into the pool, and vowed never to do it again. Okay. So there's no diving for me right now. So there you go.
We're good at watching sports, though. That's you find something you're good at and you do it.
Eating while
really
watching,
well.
like tacos and stuff like that. So.
At the 3A state championship level, Brad Allison brought home a championship in the 200 freestyle. Not only did he do that, he also broke a state record. This was actually his record that he broke, and it's his 3rd consecutive state championship. So Brad Allison from James Monroe with the 200 freestyle victory at the 3A state swimming championship.
I'll be remiss not to mention him also a former freelance all-area swimmer. We've run the gamut of all of our all-area swimmers the last 2 years. It's going to be hard to pick a swimmer of the year this year, in either boys or girls. We've got a lot of candidates, so we're going to have to start crunching the numbers.
Yeah, and I don't have a voice in that vote. Hint, hint. I don't, and I won't have one. But I'm going to go out on a limb here, and these are the Justin Rice large-size limbs that I'm going out on. I suspect that we have mentioned the names. Don't know who it's going to be, but one of the names that we've mentioned, 2 of the names that we've mentioned are going to be all-area swimmers.
Yeah, I think you can take the 4 that we mentioned.
Yeah.
Annie Boone, Wanner, Allison, Van Krempen. Probably going to be one of those.
I think so.
It's probably going to be 2 of those 4. So
2 of those 4. Yep.
Unless, I might be surprised. I might go and look at some numbers and see some really impressive times. But those have been the consistent swimmers all year. And
But it was state championship time in gymnastics as well. 6A had their meet, and Stafford with a pretty impressive performance. They finished second in this team event. They actually edged out Ocean Lakes, who had beat them at the regional level. So very impressive performance from the Indians. Yeah,
they finished second to McLean. McLean won the championship. It's their 3rd second-place finish in school history. And I have a feeling that they'll be back there next year. They have a team that's full of returners next year. Yeah. Bryn Reeves, I think they had 2 seniors this year. Bryn Reeves is the only one who participated. The other one was injured this year, but most of their players will be back next year. So look out for Stafford.
Yeah, impressive performance. They will be sending 5 gymnasts to the individual meet, which will be on Saturday. In addition to Bryn Reeves, it will be Jenna Chang, Rachel Storm, Naomi Jones, and Madison Amos that will be representing Stafford at the individual meet. That's going to do it for this week's installment of Varsity 360. Certainly enjoy chatting high school sports with my good friend Nathan Warters from the FLS varsity team. Nathan, appreciate your time, buddy.
Thanks for having me on. It's always a good time.
Yeah, it's always fun. Also appreciate Justin Rice stopping by, Mr. Wrestling, his new moniker, I guess.
Okay.
You know, we should have a byline for him. There was you remember the...
What do they call me? Mr. Swimming, Mr. Gymnastics, Mr. What do they call me?
The Hokies football.
Mr. Everything?
Yeah, Mr. Everything, yes.
Justin does a great job.
Yeah. And
Please don't fire me.
Appreciate Justin stopping by. I appreciate Nathan being here with us as well. And appreciate you watching Varsity 360. Hope you've enjoyed the show. If you see anything you like, want to have us get anything on, you can always tweet me. I am at Mark Coleman V2SN. You can also email me, mark@v2sn.com. Hope that we see you again right here on FLS Varsity and Fredericksburg.com for the next installment of Varsity 360. For the very good folks from the Virginia Varsity Sports Network, my name is Mark Coleman. Thanks for watching.